Hi everyone. Thank you for having me today. So I'm the operations manager and the senior buyer for Planet Beauty. I've been with Planet Beauty since 1995, so I've seen the progress for the all this time. We went from regular beauty supply to a 45 chain. And the challenge that we had was when in 2020, when all happened, was the fact that our bread and butter was always the stores. We focused all this time in the locations, in training, in bringing customers back to stores. And with the pandemic, we realized that we had to um, open up and create new experiences and new opportunities. So we came across all these options. There's so many options out there, but we got directed in the right direction. We have been partnering with Teamwork for many years now, and they actually recommended Klaviyo. And since then, it opened up so many options. Like we have full visibility on what the customers are buying, where are they going, what are their preferences, and it's much easier to target customers based on their likes or on their purchasing behavior than relying exclusively in employees, like what we did in the past. We had to retrain employees all the time on how to recommend someone if they were buying skincare, how to recommend them, how to train the employee to recommend something related to skincare and increase the unit per transaction. So the tools that we have made it much, much easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and Veronica, I think you said 1995. That is, you've seen it all in terms of the development of e-commerce. And even looking at your site, I noticed everything from Magento 1 dot, I think 3 was the earliest I saw, to Magento 2. So that's quite a kind of, you've seen many iterations as the e-commerce ecosystem has grown to allow for you to solve these use cases. And it sounds like you were thinking about online, like optimizing online and omnichannel experiences before the pandemic. But I do want to ask, because it's so hard not to kind of acknowledge 2020, let it stay behind us as much as it can. But how did last year impact the strategies that you were already kind of implementing related to omnichannel and online versus in store?
Well, we had to. It was just we had all this in mind, but we were not in any hurry to make it happen. And all of a sudden, in March, we just had to decide on the spot that from week 1 to week 2, we had to implement buy online, pick up in store. We had to communicate with customers as efficiently as having them in the store, and don't lose them, because it was so easy for them to just go to Amazon or go to all these other. There's so much competition out there. So we had to come up. I think the challenge was just, the timing.
Definitely. Yeah, so you had to do it super quickly. And so you mentioned buy online, pick up in store. What other strategies did you see work really well for this?
Well, we tried a few things, but the buy online, pick up in store, I think is the most effective right now, and it's a learning curve. Like, we're still learning how to improve it, but I will say that Bopis is the best option that we have right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the most important kind of revelation I had in thinking about kind of your experience for 2020 and omnichannel more broadly is, in light of everything that happened, in light of being forced to roll out these strategies early, you guys had an amazing year. And if you're okay with me sharing those Imagination Media numbers from a case study they did on you, we're talking about hundreds of percentage points of growth for the overall business, 18x growth in revenue, and almost a 3 times increase in conversion rate. That is amazing. It's amazing that you had to react so quickly. And so I would love to just hear about kind of what you think made it so successful in light of the stress and urgency that came with the pandemic.
Well, definitely having the right team. We work with Teamwork and Imagination Media and Clavio. We have a great team in every company. Gave me a great team to work with. And also we're small enough where we can quickly implement changes. There was that easy transition from making, testing something one day and then being able to implement it in 2 to 3 days at the store level. And that gives us the flexibility to find, what was the right formula and then duplicate it in all the stores.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think I love that you called out testing. That's core to what we believe at Klaviyo, and I know in e-commerce we're always looking at the data in general. But just on that note, what did you see not work? I think sometimes we hear about strategies that sound amazing on paper, and then when we actually put them in front of customers, they don't always work. So is there anything you saw for Planet Beauty that you tried out and you said, you know what, this might work for other brands, but maybe not for us?
I mean, no. What I will say is like having a fluent communication with customer, regardless of what technique you use or what software you use. Having an ongoing communication and keeping the customer informed of all the process if they're doing something new. The challenge we had was like bringing all those customers that they were used to buy in the store, making them comfortable to buy and do buy online, pick up in store from Planet Beauty, because they were already Amazon customers. It was easy for them, but we needed to convince them somehow that it was easy for them to do the same, driving through the store. And it was a fluent transaction. It was an easy transaction. And I think that the technology is great. It's an amazing part of the whole thing, and it made our lives a lot easier. But also, I think the biggest secret is keeping, the human touch behind it and making sure that we can communicate with customers as needed. Always being able to use the technology to be able to, reach out to the customer and see what they need and chat with them if they have to. Email them on every process of the buy online, pick up in store. Just keeping them informed. I think that was the biggest thing that I got from all this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's at the heart of this is caring about your customers and caring about their experience. And I do think that for all the ease that Amazon offers, that is maybe the primary competitive advantage that brands have over the fastest shipping conceivable and buying at a click of a button and living on the phone in a mobile app. And so yeah, I think that's really cool that you were able to find that human touch in all of this. And then the only last question I have on that is, how much of that human touch did you automate in your brand versus did you kind of automate and with Klaviyo flows and automations and other systems versus having your team also make sure there was that true personal touch of a rep on it?
Well, Klaviyo definitely helped me a lot to be able to reach out to customers and recommend the products they're interested in. So segmenting by past behavior, segmenting by city, it makes everybody's job so much easier. I will say that, because it's impossible to reach out to every customer, but that puts all information right on your hands. So it's easy to follow through with the customer experience one by one. Segmentation allow me to because we only have so many seconds to get the customer attention. So in order for me to take full advantage of those seconds, sending something that is meaningful for the customer was critical. So we're still improving that, but that's the goal, making sure that not only the transaction it's flawless, but also those first few seconds that the customer sees those emails, it talks to them. It relates to what they need. It relates to what they purchased in the past. It's a solution for the customer, and it's easy to understand. It's easy to read. And Flavio helped me to, I mean, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have been able to do this without being able to segment with Klaviyo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to call out that Klaviyo has those tools, and all email providers really have those types of segmentation automation tools. We like to think we make it a little bit easier, but I think the key is Klaviyo without data sources is kind of useless. If you don't integrate your e-commerce platform, if you don't integrate teamwork and make sure the email addresses are correct, then it's not useful. So that data, it's kind of like, that's our vision, is we almost rely on all of our integration partners to actually allow for this to happen at all. But that makes a ton of sense. And we're coming a little close on time. So just kind of a last question for you. Veronica, if you were giving recommendations to somebody who's thinking about developing an omni-channel strategy in one way or the other, what would you recommend to them? It sounded like human touch was a core part of that, but would love to hear if you have any other tips for people thinking about these problems.
I think that's just having the right team in every aspect. For us, having the right team in teamwork, having the right team in Klaviyo and Imagination Media made a big difference, made it easier for us. So choosing the right partner and just training. There's a lot of training that needs to happen at the store level, at least for us, in order to be able to deliver and make it flawless for customers.